Hello chefs, today we're making a sweet, kind of a pudding. It's really a pan cake type pudding, soufflé. Very much the same as what we did with the cheese omelette soufflé. The classic ingredients: eggs, flour, sugar and some kind of fat butter is what we use continually in the pastry making. It's called Kaiserschmarrn, which is an Austrian dish, and I will tell you more about it later. So I start straight away with the eggs. Then I separate them, the white from the yolk, in two different bowls. And hopefully, my kitchen is very small, as you can see. I get it nice and separate. Just make sure that none of the yolk enters the white. So yolk on one side and white in the other. And keep half of the shell because we use that for measurement later. And I'll start with by making the egg white into a meringue. So I put in it some of the caster sugar, and some people like to put as well a pinch of salt or a drip of lemon. I just put a tiny pinch of salt. Make sure the bowl is always clean, and using the whisk today I introduce as much air as possible into the white, so about medium speed, and trying to do it sideways rather than directly, so that introduces the air. This is more or less the technique. I stop here because it's a bit of a lengthy process and it's quite noisy. I'll come back when it's in the right peak. See you in a minute or two. So here I am back. It's nicely set or in hard peaks, and the test is turning upside down. It shouldn't come out. Put it to the side and I do the egg yolks. Again, I put some of the sugar in. Not too much because I'm not a sweet tooth one, and on minimum speed I just mix it in. Again, to make it sort of then I add some milk to it, and I use just the eggshell to measure it, and for each egg I put half a shell of milk and keep some back in case we need to mix it in. I take the whisk off and do it by hand because it's splitting all over the place. It's far easier to make large amounts, so just have a handle for it. And mix it in, and then I add the flour. The flour, again, in proportion is more or less as much as the milk to start with, which is a full egg for 80 grams, until it's quite stiff. It's stiffer than pancakes. It's more like a choux paste. In the meanwhile, my pan is getting hot. And I have to use the whole of the flour. And next is the getting together of the ingredients. So I got some either raisins or sultana, which has been soaked either in rum or brandy, or if you're teetotaler, just plain tea. And make sure the gut is in without too much of the liquid. And I just fold it in. It's very much like a sponge cake, a fruit cake. Check the pan, it's getting nice and hot. All I do next is just fold in the egg white little by little. Not too vigorously, otherwise you knock out the air from the egg white. Make sure you get all the mix nicely homogeneously distributed. And this is called Kaiserschmarrn, which means the emperor's embarrassment. The emperor that actually named it is Franz Joseph from Austria at the time of Napoleon, or just after it, and is famous for his very pretty wife by the name of Sissy. And it's called embarrassment because the chef started off by wanting to make something quite different, and it came out wrong, but he still served it. And as Sissy refused it, the emperor didn't want any waste, and he had it and ate it, and he liked it, so he named it Emperor's Embarrassment. And here we have it. Right, my pan is calling me, so I put some of the butter in. Just to melt it. All the way around. That's it. So it's sort of just the liquid, the cream in the batter is all evaporated, and it's time to put the mix in. I do it half and half because otherwise it might be too thick and it's too wet. So all I do is just spread it out nicely into the pan. So probably the chef started off as a soufflé and he ended up instead, a bit more heat, with a pancake, a flat pancake. I just use up the rest while that is frying away. So I'm looking really for the edge to go slightly golden, and then I proceed. So I just stop the video again, not to waste any recording time, and I'll see you when it's time to turn it round. So all I do now, it is well done. I just cut into quarters, and now you'll see why it was an embarrassment, because it was quite dark and still half cooked. So I'm just turning the quarters round just to set on that heat of the pan, and put it back on, I hope. And hopefully it comes true. Right, so here it is. Clean up and get ready for service. It's usually served with a jam, but today I'm just going to sprinkle it with a bit of icing sugar. So as soon as it's sort of bouncy, you don't want it to make it too dry. And it's quite sticky too. Yep, nearly there. So it's just setting at the moment rather than frying. And what I do is just make it even more messy, a proper schmarren. And what I do is just break it into pieces. And very rough too. Now you see why Sissy wasn't very happy with this. That's it. When all is done, you just pile it up on the plate. Very rough. And you go now with a bit of icing sugar and just powder it. So probably the chef here used icing sugar to sort of disguise a bit of the dark pancakes. There it is. I'm not much of a pudding person, and it's difficult to make puddings and cakes just for one person, but that's something that really is a quick sort of after, or just as a snack, even with a cup of tea. So try it out, see if you like it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.